Why did you hold her hand? Bailu asks Dylan Wang in front of cameras. The red carpet event was supposed to be a celebration, an evening to honor the work of industry giants, a reunion of stars who had become legends in their own right. But no one expected the night to end with Bailu trembling before a crowd of flashing cameras, her voice breaking as she stared directly at Dylan Wang. Why did you hold her hand, Dylan? She asked, loud enough for the entire press line to hear. The room fell silent. All around them, publicists froze. Journalists stopped typing. And even Lingha, Bailu's current partner, didn't move, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like he might explode. Flashback, the scene that started it all. Earlier that evening, fans had gone wild when Dylan Wang made a surprise appearance at the event, unannounced, walking the carpet alone. But the real shock came when Shen Yu arrived, wearing a silver gown that shimmered like moonlight, and Dylan instinctively reached out his hand to help her step out of the car. They didn't say much. They didn't need to. The cameras caught it all, the way his fingers lingered a moment longer than necessary, the way Shen Yu looked at him like the past was a wound still healing. What they didn't know was that Bailu had watched it all from the other side of the venue. The storm brews. Inside the venue, Dylan had barely sat down when Bailu marched across the ballroom floor toward him. The cameras turned as she grabbed his wrist. Outside. Now? Everyone assumed it was a joke. A scene from an upcoming drama maybe. But then Lingha followed, clearly agitated, clearly holding back something dangerous. Something boiling. By the time they were out in the open, reporters had already begun filming. What was that? Bailu demanded. It was just a moment, Dylan replied, trying to keep his voice low. You don't get to have moments like that, not after everything. History they tried to bury. The triangle between Dylan Wang, Shen Yu, and Bailu had long been the stuff of fan fiction and late-night gossip threads. Years ago, Dylan and Shen Yu were the screen couple everyone shipped, until his sudden marriage to Shen shocked the world. Then, just as abruptly, he was seen more often with Bailu, first as co-stars, then as friends, and finally as something deeper. Something real. But that connection was tested when Bailu rekindled a romance with Lingha, her former love. Publicly, she and Dylan insisted they'd return to being just friends. Privately, there were rumors of broken promises, missed calls, and one night that neither of them ever spoke about again. Until tonight. Lingha steps in. You're embarrassing her, Zhong said firmly as he stepped beside Bailu. No, she snapped, eyes still locked on Dylan. He embarrassed me the moment he reached for her hand like I was invisible. You're blowing this out of proportion, Dylan muttered, but even he didn't believe the words. Am I? She asked, voice suddenly trembling. Do you remember the night we sat on your rooftop, and you told me you had nothing left for her? Dylan's silence spoke louder than any denial. You said I was the only one who made you feel like yourself again. Was that a lie? The world watches. By now, the live stream had gone viral. Comments poured in. This is insane. Did Bailu just confirm she and Dylan were together? Lingha looks like he's about to swing. Where is Shen Yu now? Shen Yu, standing just inside the venue, was frozen, watching from the shadows, tears welling in her eyes. She had no idea Dylan would come tonight. She certainly didn't expect that one small moment, a hand held in silence, would open up wounds they all tried to pretend were healed. Tell her the truth. Tell her, Bailu whispered. Tell me. Did you still love her that night you kissed me? Lingha looked away. Dylan exhaled sharply. I didn't kiss you to forget her. I kissed you because I wanted to. But did you mean it? Silence. In the distance, a fan screamed. A flashbulb popped. Security took a cautious step closer. Dylan's voice cracked. I meant it. But I was still figuring out how to let her go. And maybe I never did. It was a confession that landed like thunder. The cracks in Lingha's calm. You told me you were over him, Zhong said quietly, turning to Lu. I thought I was, she whispered. Until I saw that look on his face when he touched her. And I realized. I never had all of him. You had more of me than she ever did. Dylan snapped. Then why do I feel like I was always the second choice? Lu cried, her voice echoing off the walls. Shen Yu walks out. Suddenly, the door opened. Shen Yu stepped outside, tears streaming, face pale but steady. This isn't about me anymore, she said softly. It hasn't been for a long time. Everyone turned. I let you go because I thought you needed something I couldn't give you, she said to Dylan. Now I see, maybe none of us ever really let go. Her words silenced even the reporters. You both loved him, she said, looking at Lu. But I don't think he ever learned to love himself. An unexpected goodbye. Dylan took a step forward, eyes filled with tears. Shen Yu. No, she interrupted. We are done. All of us are just trying to rewrite the past when the future is already waiting. She turned and walked away, and this time, no one followed. The aftermath. Later that night, Lu was seen leaving alone, her head down, her hand clenched in her gown. Lingha followed minutes later, but word was they didn't leave together. As for Dylan, he sat on the back steps of the venue for almost an hour. Alone. Silent. Holding the ring he once gave Shen Yu, the ring she returned in a small envelope that said, "Thank you for the memories. Now go write your own." Epilogue, a new beginning. The next morning, social media erupted with speculation. Some fans begged Lu to forgive Dylan. Others urged her to move forward with Lingha, calling him the only man who ever stayed. But a new rumor began circulating, of Dylan Wang checking into a retreat outside Beijing, unreachable, unplugged, healing. Whether it's the end or a pause remains to be seen. But what's clear is this. The heart wants what it wants. And sometimes, what it wants is peace. The moment she shattered. Lu's question, sharp, trembling, and raw, continued to echo in the minds of everyone present. Why did you hold her hand? She didn't scream. She didn't need to. Her voice was laced with a quiet devastation that carried more impact than rage ever could. Cameras flashed in her face. Microphones hovered. But she only saw one man, Dylan Wang. And one betrayal. Dylan's mouth opened slightly, words forming but refusing to come out. Shen Yu, who was seated just a few feet away during the interview segment, lowered her gaze immediately. Everyone could feel the temperature drop. Lingha's clenched jaw in the background spoke volumes, but he didn't interrupt. Not yet. A flashback she never wanted. Do you remember the day she almost collapsed on set? Lu whispered, her words now meant only for Dylan. He nodded. Slowly. You ran to her first. Not me. Not Lingha. Not the crew medic. Huh? Dylan looked like someone punched the breath out of him. She was falling. I reacted on instinct. Instinct. Lu cut him off, a slight crack in her voice. Was it instinct when you pulled her close and whispered something in her ear too? The footage had gone viral earlier that week, Shen Yu nearly fainting, Dylan catching her mid-air, and in that second, holding her hand tightly. The public had praised him. Fans had romanticized it. But no one knew what those few seconds did to Lu. Lingha steps forward. I told you not to play both sides, Lingha finally said, walking toward them. Lu tried to stop him, but it was too late. You come into her life when you're already tangled up in Shen Yu's, Lingha continued, his voice low but sharp. If she hadn't asked, would you have ever told her? Dylan didn't respond. Instead, his eyes briefly darted to Shen Yu, an instinct that betrayed more than he intended. That glance alone twisted the knife in Bailu's chest. Answer me. Lingha shouted now. Would you have told her, Dylan? Dylan turned back to Bailu. I didn't tell her, because I didn't think it meant anything. Holding her hand, it was a moment. A protective gesture. Nothing more. Then why did it feel like everything? Bailu said, the tears finally slipping down her cheeks. Because when I watched it, Dylan, I saw something in your eyes. Something I haven't seen in months when you look at me. Shen Yu finally speaks. The room, already suffocating in tension, quieted even more as Shen Yu stood up. I didn't ask him to do any of it, she said softly. I didn't ask him to hold my hand. I didn't ask him to whisper anything. I was dizzy, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. That moment, it was his choice. Dylan closed his eyes. Shen Yu wasn't defending herself. She was exposing him. But, Shen Yu continued, her voice shaking, what hurts most is that, he looked at me like I was still his. The silence that followed was unbearable. The ring that meant nothing now. Bailu slowly removed the delicate ring from her finger. The same ring Dylan had given her on their anniversary, the one that symbolized trust. A promise. I've been trying to ignore everything, she said, voice now cold and distant. The late-night rehearsals with her, the way your phone lights up with her name at 2 a.m., the way you hesitate every time I ask where you've been. Dylan stepped toward her, voice breaking. You don't understand. I don't, she snapped. I already know. Then why are you still here? Lingha, his face now stormy with restrained rage, turned to Dylan. If you still feel something for her, then why are you still here with Bailu? Why did you stay? Dylan's hands were shaking. Because I love her, he said, looking at Bailu. I love you. Bailu let out a small, disbelieving laugh. Then why did you hold her hand like you were holding on for dear life? There it was again, that devastating question. The collapse of 3 worlds. Fans watching the live segment flooded the internet with reactions. Hashtags were exploding. Hashtag why did you hold her hand? Hashtag Dylan Wang caught again. Hashtag Bailu deserves better. And heartbreakingly, hashtag protect Shen Yu. Back in the studio, the interview director tried to cut to commercial, but the damage was already done. Hearts were breaking in real time. Lingha turned to Bailu. You don't owe him anything. She nodded, her gaze now fixed on Dylan. And maybe I've finally realized that. A painful goodbye. Dylan reached for her hand, one last time. She pulled away. No, she said softly. Don't hold my hand if your heart is somewhere else. Those words, heavier than any accusation, lingered in the air as Bailu walked off the set.